we'll start off the first team, and that's in my division, the Giants division, and that's the Washington Commanders. I don't particularly want to touch anybody on this team. It's a difficult division to begin with. We don't know what we're getting out of Sam Howell at QB. Brian Robinson had a great season last year, coming off being shot as a rookie. But Antonio Gibson is still a thorn in his side there. Terry McLaurin is probably the one bright spot that I love because he's a yardage guy. Jahan Dotson stole a lot of touchdowns from him, and Jahan Dotson's good too as well. Again, it hinges on Sam Howell, and I just don't know what I like about that. And you've got the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Giants who just beefed up all their safeties and D-backs. Good luck, Sam Howell. That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
good luck.
Mean, that's what it is. Like, just good. The enemy is there now, calling plays on offense, and
I love that.
I think that might help. That might help them out a little bit. But this division is so stacked. I mean, especially defensively, the Giants, Eagles, and the Cowboys. Now, I can say the Cowboys probably are the worst of those three teams against the run, but they're going to have for a running back standpoint, good luck running against the Eagles and good luck running against the Giants. Like, they were two of the top teams last year against the run. So let's just take the running backs out of it. Brian Robinson, who had a good rookie season, especially after being his whole situation last year. But he's going to lose some touches to Antonio Gibson. So that's more going to be like a 50-50 split there. But do you love either one of them to kind of be a breakout player and to produce? I don't like them early. I think I have Brian Robinson eligible as a keeper in the 10th round. And I think that's kind of where he's going to go. So, I'm not going to keep him at where his ADP is. But that's, the guys I talked about in the video I did earlier in the week was that I do like Terry McLaurin and I do like Jahan Dotson. And only because they're going to be in such bad negative game script throughout the season, because I just don't know what we're going to have from Sam Howell. And even in Sam Howell's college career, he wasn't pushing the ball downfield. So I think that I like McLaurin way more than I like Dotson, because Dotson last year, he really thrived off the deep ball and Heineke pushing the ball downfield. And it was all garbage. It was garbage time touchdowns, and that's fine, because I don't care if it's garbage time or it's on the first play of the game. Like, points are points.
Yeah.
In terms of fantasy, but I think that takes away from Dotson a little bit more. But because of the negative game script, they might be facing, weaker defenses, or, they might be down in games by 3 or 4 scores, and just have no option but to throw the ball. So you like receivers in those kind of settings. But outside of McLaurin and Dotson, I don't really like anyone else this year for them. I just don't know what the offense is going to be like. And until I kind of see game 1, game 2, what they kind of look like, I'd rather pick those guys up off of free agency or the waiver wire.
I'd rather let somebody else take them. Yeah, let somebody else draft them. All right. I mean, Commanders in the division, you may say, okay, yeah, so they play 6 games against their division opponents. Yeah, but the way the games are spread out on the season, you usually have some late games where it's trying to make playoffs in your fantasy league, and it's early games where you want to try and capitalize on those early games before bye weeks, and you don't want to be you're relying on Sam Howell in both situations. So another team that we are trying to avoid, and I think this is a more of a collective agreement too, is the Arizona Cardinals. You've got Kyler Murray coming off an ACL tear. We have no timetable for return, and when he does return, who knows? You can't expect him to be Kyler of old in scrambling around and making plays. So you're talking about making him more stationary in the pocket, and not trying to string off these runs like he did before. You've got James Conner, an elder running back. He's not too old. He's still young in terms of things, but it's going to be on his shoulders. That's the one guy that I would trust on taking, but I'm not taking him in the top 4 rounds like all these other big running backs are and starting running backs are. I'm trying to take him 5th round on because I'd like to get the value out of him, but you're going to be on a team that's going to be a negative game script. And at some point, they're going to have to just stop running the ball and start throwing the ball through the air with Colt McCoy. And yeah, he catches the ball at the backfield. He had 46 receptions last year. He's good. He's solid. And I think he doesn't get enough love in the fantasy community either. But again, I just don't like the offense around him. No Kyler there hurts Hollywood Brown's potential. It hurts D-Hop's potential. And those two guys hurt each other's potential, to be honest with you. They didn't mesh together like you see Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. It's just not the same style of offense. And I just don't know where Arizona is going to go moving forward. In my opinion, that contract with Kyler was crazy. I feel like they should just went rebuild and let Kyler move on. But I'm sticking away from the Arizona Cardinals. I don't want a piece of them. Zach Ertz, great tight end, don't want a piece of him. I just want to watch the points stay low and watch my opponents keep starting these guys against me. That's my goal.
Yeah, I think that, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the Arizona Cardinals because you kind of hit all my points. So one thing I will say is that D-Hop, I think, is the most interesting person in this draft this year because talent-wise, he's a top 10 receiver.
Yeah.
I keep seeing him drop further and further down draft boards because, all right, Josh McCown's a starter for the season, and let's say Kyler comes back week 4 to week 6. Coming off an ACL injury, I don't think Kyler's going to be the same guy he was because he relied so much on the scrambling ability to get outside the pocket and make plays outside the pocket because he was always under pressure.
Yeah.
And you're coming off an ACL injury. You're not going to be fully comfortable doing the same kind of movements. And he's a smaller guy too. So he needs to get away from these bigger linemen that are chasing him down.
He's over them too.
And yeah, he can't see over him. I think his arm talent's fine. I just don't, I can't see opportunity. And they're going to go against the Seahawks twice a year and the Niners twice a year. Even though they're going to have to play the Rams
twice a year. The Rams D-backs aren't terrible.
They're not great either. Again, that's another defense, another team that's rebuilding. But I just you
just go against Aaron Donald twice a year, though.
Yeah. Who can run him down very, very easily. But outside of D-Hop and Connor, I really there's no one in this offense that I like. I'm staying away from Hollywood Brown. If I have an opportunity to draft him even later, I'm not going to.
No, I like Connor. He's a keepable guy for me. I obviously could choose between him and Dameon Pierce. And Connor's an 8th round guy for me in my keeper. I think that's below where his value should be anyway. But again, I'd take Connor, but I'm not taking him as an RB1. I'd take him as an RB2/flex because you just don't know, because he can give you those RB2 numbers or he's giving you flex numbers. And again, the people that are going to be around him in that draft are going to really determine it, and I think there's going to be better value around that. So the next team I want to talk about is a team that you're a little bit more passionate about avoiding, and I think a lot of people are going to get their feathers ruffled over this one, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I've seen so many arguments with this already, but personally, I think that they're the least talented offense in this division. Defensively, they're a great team, but I think every team in this division has a good defense. And so that's all right. Let's put that on an even playing field, even though I would probably say the Steelers are top 2 defense in this division.
They're a solid defense, yeah.
They're a solid defense. But look at the quarterbacks that are in this division. All right. You have Burrow, Lamar, and Deshaun. Kenny Pickett is light years behind them.
Not them.
Light years. Even they said that the second half of the season, there was so much growth with Kenny Pickett in the last 7 games where he wasn't turning the ball over as much. He only threw for 5 touchdowns in the last 7 games. Had 1 interception, but only threw for 5 touchdowns.
Yep.
Now, I think that, they're talented at receiver with Allen Robinson and Deontay Johnson and
George Pickens.
George Pickens. That Pat Freiermuth is a good tight end.
Yeah. Don't forget Washington.
Najee Harris is just going to eat a lot of carries and slowly just churn his way and average 3 yards a carry the entire season. That's fine. But there's not a whole lot of guys I'm going to try to reach for. I think that Kenny Pickett's not going to have the volume. He's not going to throw for over 4,000 yards. He might throw for like 3,000 to 3,500 yards this season. And do you think that's enough to sustain
low 20s, probably low 20s in touchdowns?
Low 20s in touchdowns. So
at best.
You have talent at the wide receiver, but are they going to be producing? We had Deontay Johnson not score a touchdown last year.
Yeah.
And so you want a guy that's only going to have 800 yards in the season and not score a touchdown. Like I like other guys that are probably going to go around the same roundage that he's going to go. I think they're so, especially Pickens and Deontay, they're so like evenly ranked in terms of where I would put them and in terms of their overall ADP that do you even want to go and get them in the 8th round? Like,
those guys, their ADP is higher than the 8th round in some of these that I'm seeing. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, this is a perfect example of, to me, this is a team that has names on it, that have talent behind those names, that I don't think they're going to be able to put it together to be talented. And the value on your draft boards is not going to equal the people that are around them. There's going to be people to the left and right of you in that draft that are going to take somebody in that same round that you take Deontay Johnson, and they're going to get more out of those players than you're going to get out of him. And that's just how I look at this team. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if Deontay Johnson is sitting there in the 10th or 11th round, I'm going to go and get him just because he's talented. And who knows, like he might have – I don't see them scoring a lot of points this year. And even Najee, like he's at the end of my tier 1 running backs, like at the tail end of it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He doesn't break off the big run. He doesn't have 20-yard he very, very rarely had I think he had 1 or 2 20-plus yard runs last season.
Yeah.
He doesn't do – he gets in the end zone and he gets a lot of goal line touches. So there's that. And I like that for him. But he's the only guy I would take in this offense in probably the first 8 rounds.
Yeah. Well, another team that the only guy I would take in the first 3 rounds off their team is a running back as well, and that's the Tennessee Titans. Besides Derrick Henry, I don't want anybody on this offense. Anybody.
He's the only guy I would take in the first 20 rounds. In a 15-round draft.
We could make this one short on the Titans because they're already talking about, hey, if the season's not going well, let's get Will Levis in. And that's not even coming from the Titans camp per se, so don't quote me on that, but that's what all the experts are saying. That's what they should do. Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry. He's gonna put up over 1,000 yards rushing. He's gonna get a plethora of touchdowns. But when you face stacked boxes over stacked boxes, look what the Giants did to him week 1 of last year to open the season. They put him in his place and they won that ball game. And Tannehill just couldn't get the job done. You look at Treylon Burks, another wide receiver that's very talented, but now he has no company around him and talent around him to really give him opportunity. I mean, we're talking about like baseball here, where if your power hitter doesn't have good hitters around him, you don't have to pitch to him. If your wide receiver 1 doesn't have good wide receivers around him, just double team him, take him out of the game, and that's what teams are going to try and do. And so, I want no part of this team. I don't care. Anybody can make an argument they want with me. They're not going to sell me on this one. Derrick Henry's the only guy that I would take. But I told you, I'll take Chubb over him any day.
Yeah, I can be very wrong about this, okay? But Treylon Burks is a number 2 wide receiver playing a number 1. And he doesn't create the separation that wide receiver 1s have to create. He doesn't have the big playability like I know he's only his 2nd year, but there's no one else there. There literally is no one else there, and so all the pressure is on him to make catches. Derrick Henry is going to be Derrick Henry. So he's, like I said, the only person I want to draft. Period.
Yeah.
If one of these guys end up coming on late, I'll go and pick him up off waiver wire. But I am not wasting a single draft pick on anyone but Derrick Henry.
No, I'm taking flyers on rookies that have upside than taking a guy on this team.
I'll take undrafted free agent. I don't care.
If you like the clip, like and subscribe. And always, click the little bell for notifications. Tune in next time.